What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeff. I'm the owner of RDRGear in Salt Lake City, Utah. You often hear me say on the intros, hey, we're a soft goods manufacturer. Well, actually we are. And today we're doing a little bit different take on our review. This is the RDRGear Enhanced Instructor Duty Belt. This is our #1 selling belt. Primarily we sell this to a lot of SWAT teams in bulk order. We sell this to pretty much everyone and their mother who comes to the shop, because they come in a lot of different color configurations. You can do a lot of different things to them as far as color patterns, and we have a package program that comes with the outer belt, the inner belt, 2 pistol mag carriers, 1 rifle mag carrier, and you can put pretty much anything else you want. This is one of our internal projects we're working on, a tearaway amp med kit. You can use a Surefire holster, you can use any other ones. My boy Roger at QVO Tactical has got the new holster he's making for the new model lights, the Hog. He's a lot of cool stuff in the holster mounting solutions for your belts. Dump pouch is from, mag dump pouch is Blue Force Gear. I like it because I don't use them often, but you can tuck them away. And of course I mentioned our prototype and Safari holsters. All of our holsters will work with any of our 175 belts, because you can use the RDRGear UBL belt mod that removes the spacing in the belt slot here from 2.5 or 2.25 to 175. So that's something you find on our website, and we're going to talk about this little guy more in a minute. So let's get this one out of the way, because I want to show you something. So when I first started building belts, I saw some things in the industry that were different, right? My good buddy Dan, who is the firearms instructor for one of the local SWAT teams here in Utah, I was at one of their training days, and they were running around these new belts they bought. I don't want to mention the brand name because the brand's much bigger than I am, but it was a very oddly built belt, because the outer belt was super thin, not very rigid, 1 ply with some weird webbing molly, and the inner belt was actually thinner than this one. Across the industry, when you buy, whether it be even a Sam Brown duty belt, that's a 2.25 inch wide belt, the inner belt is often built assuming that all belt loops can only take 1.5 inch wide belt. That's not the case. Most uniform pants, whether it be tack pants, for military or law enforcement, or uniform pants law enforcement, the belt loops are slightly wider on a uniform belt. Therefore, you can fit a 1 3/4 belt through them, because if you've ever looked at fire department guys or classic uniforms, those belts range in 1.5 inches to 1 3/4 inches. The basket weave style with the silver or brass buckle. So you can run a wider belt through there. You cannot run a 2-inch belt in most cases, like blue jeans, or uniform pants, but you can run a 175. So most of the belts, when we started building these belts roughly 7 years ago now, came with this. And this is a basic piece of 1.5 webbing that is hook and loop backed, and this is your inner pant belt that holds your outer belt. Well, what happens is, once the belt, since it's 1.5 inches, most belts are 1 3/4 wide, so we're still short here. It's 2.25 inches wide, super short, or it's 2 inches and we still have shortness, right? So once you mate the belt to the inner belt, your top edges can now bow out with a pouch or something on them, or they can crush, right? The outer edge can crush, and now it's going to give you those hot spots. And the reason you get those hot spots is because all the outer weight of the accessories on the belt are shifting and moving, creating those hot spots around the body. Fast forward to the RDRGear Enhanced Instructor Belt. That's this bad boy. So I'm going to show you guys something in the video, right? So this is the new SIG P320 DH3. So mags are unloaded, but this is our inner belt and outer belt. This is a 175 outer to a 175 inner. My right arm's still jacked, so I'm going to hold this here. But you can see there's very little bow and flex in this belt, right? Because how the inner mates the outer. Let's break this belt apart and show you. So this is what it looks like, minus the holster, if you buy an Enhanced Instructor Belt kit. Inner belt, outer belt, the 2 pistol magazines, 1 rifle magazine. Both pistol magazines are on tech locks. You can Velcro back them to give you more adhesion. With the magazine, it's on malice clips, simply because you're probably not going to be removing the rifle mag. You might remove pistol mags or add more pistol mags or move one around, whatever, but if you want, you can always add a note, and we can always help you out getting a tech lock on there, and then we get that squared away. So let's break this belt open and show you some things about it. Let's start with the inner belt. So as I mentioned, when we first started seeing these belts being out there, the biggest thing was, and you can see, if you ever watch an old Western and the sheriff comes to town and says, all right, boys, give me your gun belts. And the guys will wad their gun belts up and give it to the sheriff. Well, that's what this does. You can shove this in any bag while you're wearing this. So the outer belt is not thin by any means. This is all 1/5. This is the webbing we fold and sew here in-house to make the MOLLE slots. This is all bar tacked here for your segments. And then it's type 13 webbing, 2-ply, sewn and bar tacked together, hook a loop on the inside, and that's the outer belt. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more of the front end here shortly. So let's talk about the base of this belt and think this is why this belt does so well. When we started looking at the design of belts, this here is 175 to 175 mating, so the belts are even. What that does is, once this belt goes through your belt loops, and your belt loops work as an anchor on the body, whatever load you put on the outside can now no longer pull away from the internal, because this belt is twice as stiff as this belt. This belt is literally being supported by this one, and now that we have 100% adhesion, and even get more adhesion when you're using MOLLE pouches, right? I prefer this style, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but when you look at this belt, it's a very rigid belt, and I wadded this one up. I mean, it doesn't stay around at all. And what this is this type 13 webbing, 2 rows, and what we do is what's called a 5-row stack stitching. So if you'll see, I don't know if you guys can see it in the video here, but in each of these rows, the belt is sewn down, up, roughly 5 times. You'll see some little white specks in here. That's the inside of this belt is a 0.04 polyethylene stiffener. And that's what makes this inner belt so strong. And that's why we sell to a lot of law enforcement. You can load quite a bit on this. If you follow my good buddy, Jared Reston, the Reston Group, Jared was kind of the driving force behind me to revise our original belt to bring out the Enhanced Instructor Duty. When Jared was wearing his original model, we have the Enhanced Instructor Belt, we have the Enhanced Instructor Duty Belt, and we have the Enhanced Instructor Slick Belt. And those will be coming on the channel as well in the near future. My goal for these kind of videos is to let you guys have actual kind of end user design concept information there, kind of like a QVC, so to speak, on our soft goods. That way, if you have questions on the website, if you email us, I can send you a link to this video and you can see it for yourself and understand what's behind the scenes, so to speak, in the construction of the belt. Jared was telling me that when he was using our original belt and you would take the outer tail and you'd wad it up and use a keeper to store it, throughout the day that belt would slip and get loose. I experienced it as well. I would just tape it, and what I would often do, I'd use a safety pin, hook the safety pin to the excess webbing, tape over all that, kind of like with hockey tape, and then it wouldn't move, DIY. Well, fast forward to this version, and what that does is, when you look at the internal belt, I'm gonna take this gun out, so that way it gives me a little less weight to deal with. Take these all empty mags out. So when you look at the internal portion right here, the old belts, this portion would wad up on the outside of the belt like so, and you'd use a keeper and hold it in place, right? Well, as the day went by, that would slip. Now with our new design, and I think some other guys have internal capture, but I don't believe they have the MOLLE that goes as far. So now what happens is when you have the internal capture, when the belt closes, it closes just like a duty belt, like a Sam Browne or a Bianchi belt. Now the internal capture is on the inside, just like a traditional duty belt is. So now we have Velcro on the back side here as well. So when that belt mates to this inner belt, that's 100% adhesion all the way around. That ain't going nowhere, and it cannot slip throughout the day. That is one of the benefits. And you notice the MOLLE runs all the way to the front, so you can still, you're only gonna lose maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches max on the belt. So when you mate this to that, I'm gonna show you guys here. a little trick for when we do these videos to make the inner belt smaller. So I mentioned before, so now we have full adhesion all the way around, and now you don't have any separation. The D-ring here it's not rated, right? I haven't spent money to have the belt rated. I don't recommend you rappelling out of it. This is for you to run a carabiner, to run chemolites, glove hanger, dog leash, whatever you want to add to it. It's simply a way. But if you look at how the belt is designed, this is the entire continual top and bottom row all the way around the belt to the very front right here, and every inch and a half it's bar tacked. These are actually para-rated bar tackings. You'd have to literally have, I don't even know how many thousand pounds of pressure to pop every single one of these bar tacks to get to this point to be in trouble. So you could probably use it for some kind of rappel. I just don't recommend it. So now that you have everything on this belt and you have the adhesion, as I mentioned earlier, the inner belt is now being held to the body. The outer belt load is now Velcroing to the inner belt, and that's what gives you this level of stiffness. Some folks may not like this stiffness, and that's cool, because if you don't like that stiffness, and you often see me at the range when we're filming just regular range stuff, you can use because everybody's got a belt. Not everybody, I mean, some people don't have a belt, but most everybody has a belt. And if you don't want to use the belt that comes with it, you can set that one aside, grab your basic everyday inner belt, and use your basic everyday inner belt, which I have done many times on video. You've seen me wearing this belt in the past. Simply just use the thinner inner belt. For your basic range stuff, right? If you don't need that load bearing. For me, the black belt you saw earlier is probably the max of stuff that I put on the belt. So I can use either one of these. Whenever I'm gonna go to like a training day or a full day of a class, I always run this belt. It is way more comfortable on the body because there's quite a bit of support in this belt. I wish you guys could, I don't know if you can see this, but if I try to crush this belt, you can't crush it. It just won't crush because every time it gets soft, it hits one of the stitch lines of the other belt. So the load rate of this belt, as far as comfort goes, is much more than this belt is, because no matter what, you can see now how this belt has a sag right here in the rear, because the belt will crush. But for a range day, when I'm filming content, I'm just gonna wear it out of the house. I'll wear one of these. This fits through jean belt loops as well, but it's to give you some options to have that. And if you have an other brand belt, that belt most likely came with an 1.5 inch inner belt. So you get the best of both worlds. So that is the RDRGear Enhanced Instructor duty belt package. As I mentioned earlier, you get the 2 pistol mags. And what's cool about these magazines is, I don't have another gun, do I, Crispy? Oh, what's for you guys here? Walther magazine. Right, fits, 320 magazine fits, and you'll look inside here, you'll see this little silver tension knob right here. You can tension these magazines to fit any brand of 940 polymer steel magazines on the market. So whether you have HK, SIG, Glock, Smith & Wesson, whatever, they fit literally every style of 940 magazine. So your belt package, you can swap out, if you have a keyless hanger on your holster, you can swap your holster out, tension your magazines, rifle mags are the same, you're good to go. You have one system for every pistol that you own, as long as you have a bucket for each of those pistols. So that's super cool there. These are found on the website at RDRGear.com. Little side note too, my brother likes to throw these little sales out there. And Chad doesn't like to do percentage stuff because he thinks that if you do a percentage off something, then you ship something, the money you saved got eaten by the shipping. So Chad likes to go on there every once in a while and he'll mark them down in a cash discount. And they're usually anywhere between 40 to 30 bucks. And you can save, and he doesn't advertise it, he just does it and you guys stumble across it. So you'll see the original price of $174, and then whatever price he's marked it down to, you'll see it next to there. He may or may have not known about this video, and he may or may have not put a sale on this belt. So if you go to the website, check it out. We appreciate the support. You're going to save a few bucks. It's summer is here. Training season's going. If you don't have a quality belt rig for yourself, this is a great way to buy a basic belt and add on every component you want to add as your finances allow. So thanks for watching, guys. I always post 3 videos every week on gear that we manufacture, gear that we use, gear review. Till next time, be well. Take care.